Hi, so I'm Emma McNamara, and I'm doing my project on marijuana dispensaries as a new way to generate government revenue. Okay, so due to inflation, budgets need to be adjusted nearly every year, and new ways to bring in revenue must be examined in order for local governments to maintain their city at the best they possibly can. The most common solution to that problem is often to raise taxes or to rely heavily on increased fines. And those are used to generate more income for the government and affect the budget change, but it often has negative consequences. So, as people are taxed more, they're unable to spend more. It also causes businesses to leave the area. This stunts the growth of the economy in the city and causes businesses and people to leave. And in turn, politicians have to raise taxes more. So it's really just a vicious cycle that develops due to the rise of taxes, and it often leaves cities worse off than when they started. But a new solution has become more prevalent that I think would benefit Erie County specifically. Legal marijuana dispensaries are a constant revenue flowing in through taxes and could even throw straight in through business revenue depending on ownership. If the government were to own them, they would get the business revenue for it. Um, and if they were to issue licenses and have other people own it, then it would be a slightly different story. Um, so based on Colorado's precedent is what this project will be on. So Colorado, being the first state to legalize both medical and recreational marijuana use, is a template for this money generating idea. So from January 2021 to September 2021 alone, Colorado brought in a tax revenue of $3,027,371 $327,371,798 strictly from the marijuana dispensary sales. The way Colorado set up their dispensary laws allowed for out-of-state passive investors who owned less than 5% of a cannabis business could hold convertible securities, which is a bond or preferred stock that can be converted into a different type of security. This expanded on the original law, which allowed for individuals that were natural persons and residents of Colorado to own the dispensaries without the ability to sell stock in their company. And by allowing private passive investors to join in on the revenue, it creates more money. It allows businesses to stay open longer and run more smoothly. Due to the expansion, more people are able to open dispensaries of their own and contribute to the economic growth in the area. The revenue in Colorado comes from the sales state tax of 2.9% on marijuana sold in stores, the state retail marijuana sales tax of 15% on retail sales, and the state retail marijuana excise tax of 15% on wholesales and transfers. There's also revenue generated from marijuana licenses and application fees. So there's a bunch of different ways that the government can pull money from this. There's a significant amount of revenue that's made off of taxes alone, a total of $1.9 billion since it was first legalized in 2014. A majority of the dispensaries end up showing a profit of nearly $3 million within their first year. And the reason for this is Section 280E, which states that cannabis businesses can't deduct ordinary business expenses from their gross income, which increases the amount of taxes they pay and the amount the government makes based on it. So the startup cost, it can cost anywhere from $250,000 to $1 million, depending on the size of the dispensary. In this area, most of them would be on the lower end of that. And in order to expedite the process, if the government wasn't going to own these dispensaries, they could issue bonds or loans to people to help them get started on building it, and that would jumpstart the program. It would only take 1 to 2 years to see profit, depending on how long it takes to build and open the dispensary. So, and it would bring in way more than it would be worth. So due to the new bill in New York State legalizing recreational marijuana, dispensaries are in high demand in order to prompt the start of the injury. If the local government were to build a dispensary, the income would cover the costs within the first year. Even if they were to just help fund the individuals, it would double its cost in the first year. Statistics from a study in 2017 show that a majority of dispensaries show a marginal marginable profit within a year and averaged $3 million in annual revenue. Also, the demand for the product is very high right now. 34% of individuals 18 to 24 report using marijuana. 25% of individuals 25 to 34 report using it, and 9% of individuals older than 35 report using it, and that's just in New York City alone. With the high prevalence in society and the recent passing of the bill, there's a high demand for these dispensaries, and it would be profitable to the government in addition to its ability to be placed in almost any location. Any small storefront with an area that can be used for growing the product would be perfect for something like this. There's a couple in Hamburg. If you drive by, you can see them. They're very small storefronts, so it wouldn't be too hard to find a place to put it. The chart that I have at the bottom shows marijuana usage in the past month by age and by county type. Younger people are more consistently using marijuana in all types of counties. So location in New York, any storefront with an area to grow the product would be sufficient, and there are multiple empty storefronts in the county that would work. I even looked it up. There's about 19 empty warehouses in Erie County alone that would be perfect. Even those might be too big, and there's a lot more open storefronts than warehouses. There's a ton of profits to be made. CBNC reported an average cannabis sales rose from 52% to 130% from January to March of 2020. They blame it a little bit on COVID, but it's still a big jump, and that's a lot of money for the government to make. 59% of dispensaries in 2016 reported being very profitable in the first year, and 29% of dispensaries in 2016 reported breaking even in their first year. So a majority of dispensaries that are opened at least break even, if not make a profit, in their first year, and that means after that, it's pretty much all just straight profit. So what agencies should run this? The state licensing authorities in charge of issuing the licenses, and the Marijuana Enforcement Division is responsible for overseeing compliance in Colorado specifically. New York already has a similar agency in place with the passing of the bill. They made it. It's called the Office of Cannabis Management and Cannabis Control Board. That would act as the Marijuana Enforcement Division Colorado has. Also, the Department of Taxation and Finance can also play a part in it to determine what taxes they can pay if they're going to abide by the same precedent that Colorado set with the 280E clause being used or not. So those two agencies together can decide what would be most beneficial. There's a lot of community benefits on top of that. I know that this project is mainly focused on the economic or the government budgets, but it can grow the economy. It brings in jobs, it brings in investors. It can regulate the marijuana people use to result in less cases of overdose or illness due to laced marijuana. But on top of that, it'll really grow the economy. It'll bring in a lot of funds, and a lot of things can be done with that money. So I think that if the government needs to make a lot of money, they can start opening up dispensaries or helping people open up their own. Thank you.